If you're a man over 40 trying to lose belly fat, your breakfast may be helping you, or quietly making the problem worse every single day. Because for a lot of men, breakfast is where the day goes off track before it even really begins. Why breakfast matters. It starts with a bagel, cereal, sweet coffee, or some quick grab-and-go breakfast that looks harmless. But a few hours later, energy crashes, hunger kicks in, cravings go up, and the rest of the day becomes much harder to control. And if that pattern repeats over and over again, losing belly fat gets a lot harder than it needs to be. Biggest breakfast mistake. The biggest breakfast mistake men over 40 make is eating a breakfast that's too low in protein and too easy to digest quickly. A typical breakfast might be toast, cereal, muffins, pancakes, flavored yogurt, orange juice, or a sugary coffee drink on the way to work. The problem with that kind of breakfast is that it's often heavy on refined carbs and light on protein. So instead of keeping you full and stable, it gives you a quick rise in energy, followed by a crash. And when your breakfast doesn't have enough protein, it usually doesn't keep hunger under control for very long. That means you're more likely to snack mid-morning, overeat at lunch, crave sugar in the afternoon, and end up taking in more calories than you realize by the end of the day. Why protein matters after 40. For men over 40, protein matters even more than most people realize. It's not just about feeling full. Protein also helps preserve muscle while you're trying to lose fat, and that matters because muscle becomes a bigger deal after 40. The more muscle you keep, the better your body handles fat loss, strength, and overall metabolism over time. So, if you're trying to lose belly fat, the first thing your breakfast needs is enough protein. For most men, a good target is around 30 to 40 grams of protein at breakfast. That doesn't mean you have to obsess over exact numbers every morning. It just means your breakfast should actually be built around a real protein source, not a tiny side of protein attached to a mostly carb-heavy meal. The breakfast formula. So what does a good belly fat loss breakfast actually look like? The simplest answer is this. A great breakfast for men over 40 should do 4 things. First, it should give you enough protein to support muscle and control hunger. Second, it should keep blood sugar and energy more stable instead of sending you on a roller coaster. Third, it should be easy enough to repeat during a busy work week. And fourth, it should help you stay full long enough that you're not hunting for snacks 2 hours later. So here's the breakfast formula I'd use. Start with a strong protein anchor. That could be eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, a protein shake, turkey sausage, smoked salmon, or even leftover chicken if that works for your routine. Then add a smart carb source if needed, something like fruit, oatmeal, potatoes, or whole grain toast. Then add fiber and volume with berries, vegetables, chia seeds, or avocado. And finally, keep liquid calories under control. Black coffee, unsweetened coffee, tea, or water usually works much better than starting the day with a giant, sugary coffee drink or fruit juice. Breakfast option number 1. Breakfast option number 1 is one of the best and simplest choices for most men over 40. Eggs, Greek yogurt, and fruit. For example, 3 eggs, a bowl of plain Greek yogurt, and a handful of berries. This gives you high quality, protein, good satiety, and a breakfast that doesn't leave you starving an hour later. Breakfast option number 2 is a protein oatmeal bowl. That could be oats, cooked with milk, a scoop of protein powder mixed in, berries on top, and maybe some chia seeds or a measured amount of peanut butter. This works especially well for men who want something fast, warm, and easy before work. Breakfast option number 3 is a high-protein breakfast sandwich you make at home. For example, eggs, turkey, sausage, or lean ham, a slice of cheese if you want it, and an English muffin or whole grain bread. That gives you something satisfying and practical without turning breakfast into a drive-through meal. Breakfast option number 4 is a Greek yogurt bowl with added protein. Plain Greek yogurt, berries, a little granola if you want some crunch, and either a scoop of protein powder mixed in or a side of boiled eggs. This is a great option for men who don't want to cook every morning. And breakfast option number 5 is the easiest of all. If mornings are chaotic, a protein shake plus a simple whole food side. For example, a protein shake with fruit and a couple of boiled eggs, or a shake with a piece of toast and peanut butter if you need something portable before work. Now let us discuss what to avoid. Now, does that mean breakfast has to be low carb? No. The goal is not to fear carbs. The goal is to make breakfast work better for fat loss. For some men, oatmeal, fruit, potatoes, or whole grain toast can fit perfectly well, especially if the meal is built around enough protein and doesn't trigger overeating later. What I would be more careful with is pastries, sugary cereal, giant bagels with very little protein, flavored coffee drinks, fruit juice, and healthy smoothies that are packed with calories but don't keep you full. I'd also be careful with breakfasts that look small but don't actually satisfy you. because those often lead to snacking. And snacking is where a lot of extra calories quietly sneak in. Final breakfast rule. So if I were helping a man over 40 lose belly fat, here's the breakfast rule I'd start with tomorrow morning. Build breakfast around 30 to 40 grams of protein first. Then add fruit, oats, toast, or another carb source if you want it. And if it helps you stay consistent, keep sugary drinks and liquid calories low. And choose a breakfast you can repeat at least 4 or 5 days per week without getting decision fatigue. Because when breakfast gets easier, fat loss usually gets easier too. Finally, for the breakfast, if you want, the next video I can make is the exact 7-day belly fat meal plan I'd use for men over 40 breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and how I'd structure the full week. If that's the one you want next, let me know in the comments.